Glendale, Ohio. The high school is no longer there, but the community is. It's a nice community, made up of beautiful homes, in many cases large lawns. The community in general is on the National Historical Register. It's a nice place to grow up. The Saunders brothers and even the Saunders family in many ways live there today. It is in some cases, part of the Underground Railway. So in that respect, a very historical place. And in Glendale, today as then, there's an African-American enclave centered around Cleveland Avenue. And those people in general went to a school called Eckstein School. No longer a school, but that building is still there. In that time, although it was an integrated community, everything wasn't equal. And for some reason, black students at Glendale High School could play football, they could play baseball, they could run on the track team, they could play in the band. But for some reason, they were unable to play basketball. So Glendale had a nice team in those years, a very good basketball team, which was all white. And the Glendale kids, black kids on the team had a nice team who played in what's really a YMCA. So at the end of the year, the Glendale team, or the white team, played the non-Glendale team, or the black team, in basketball. The white kids won, but not by much. It was a very close game. And typical, the kids on both sides wonder why we didn't join together and really had a good team. We could have been state champs in basketball. But they didn't get that opportunity. John and Joe both played football. When they played together during those 3 years, they only had one loss on the football team, 13-6, Reading High School. When John played alone his senior year, Joe had already left. They only had one loss, 36-32. This is the Laughlin High School. John scored all 32 points. The others were all wins. So John played baseball as well as track and field, and during halftime of the football games, he put on his band uniform and he played the trumpet during the marching band. Typical of Saunders, he has a multitude of skills. But track and field was their main sport, and track and field is why we're here today. They were coached by a man named Glenn Hines, a wonderful man who took them all over the place for their track and field during the school year and during the summer. So in the 1934 track and field season, only one Saunders ran, and that was Joe, the older. He ran well. He went to the state meet. He won the 100-yard dash. He won the 200-yard dash, and he won the 220-yard dash. He won the 220-yard hurdles. He was very good. So the next year, his younger brother, John, or Junior, joined him on the track team. And he said, "Junior, why don't we both join the track team? Why don't we enjoy this experience together? I think we could do well." And so they did. So now they didn't have a one-man track team, they had a two-man track team. And their names were both Saunders. If you look at those records, it said Saunders, Glendale. A little bit confusing because which was it? Sometimes it said J. Saunders, Glendale. Which was it? No one really knew. So a lot of people thought they were twins and they called them the Saunders twins, but not the case. One was a year older. So at the state meet in 1935, Joe once again won the 100 yards, the 220 yards, and the 220 hurdles. John, or Junior, was second in the 100, second in the 220, and he won the 120-yard high hurdles. And it might be noted that the 120 high hurdles at that time was run at the college height. That's 42 inches. He still ran very well. The two brothers together won the state championship for Glendale in 1935. Now, had things been different, they might have won in basketball and in track, but they just won in track. The next year, they were still pretty good, but they were second to track to Oberlin High School, 1935. So in high school, together, I told what they did separately, but together, Joe won 11 state championships, John won 7 state championships. Together they won 18 championships for the Saunders brothers. They were second 7 times. And most of those second places had to do with the fact that a Saunders beat a Saunders. They were very good. Joe won the 100-yard dash 4 years in a row. John won the 120 hurdles 4 years in a row. And the year after Joe left to go to Miami University, John had one of the most spectacular seasons of any track athlete before or since in the state of Ohio. He won 4 events in a state meet, 2 years after Jesse Owens won 4 events at the 1936 Olympics. So John, without Joe, won the 100, the 220, the 180 low hurdles, and the long jump. 4 victories, 4 state records. His long jump record of 22 6 3/4 lasted 36 years and was not beaten until 1974. Both of these Saunders brothers progressed to Miami University. Unfortunately, Joe pulled a hamstring and never did in college what he had done in high school. John, on the other hand, did a little bit better in college than Joe did, including being second in the NCAA championships 1941 and third in the NCAA championships, the high hurdles, 1942, 2 days before he entered the Army. So he did very well in Miami. Both guys entered the Army. Both guys served in World War II, both in the European theater. They didn't run across each other while they were in Europe, but the good news is they lived through that experience and returned back to Cincinnati like good Cincinnatians do. Joe went back to Glenville. He lived near where he grew up. John, or Junior, on the other hand, moved to Kennedy Heights, and he spent the rest of his life in Kennedy Heights. These people have been recognized before. Both have been inducted into the Buddy LaRose Hamilton County Hall of Fame. John is also recognized in the Ohio Association of Track and Cross Country Coaches Hall of Fame in Columbus. And John, or Junior, was also named to the National High School Sports Hall of Fame. And when that happened, he was only the second Ohioan to be put into that Hall of Fame. The first was Jerry Lucas, Middletown, Ohio. The older people know who that is. Honoring the Saunders brothers, before this event, a park in Glendale is named in their honor. It was formerly called Eckstein Park, named after their school. Now it's Saunders Park in their community in Glendale. With us today, knowing that the legend of the Saunders brothers lives on today, is their great niece, Claudia Saunders. Just finished her freshman year at Stanford, and I might add, is that true, freshman? And now she'll be a sophomore. And in high school, in the state of Ohio, she won the 100-meter hurdles in the state meet and also the cross-country race. So she combined those 2 skills and now is running the 800. So these are the Saunders brothers, Joe and John, Joe and Junior, of Glendale, Ohio. Neither is with us today. They would be into their mid-90s. They are deceased. But accepting the award for Joe would be Roger Saunders, and accepting the award for John, or Junior, if you guys could both come up, is Bruce Saunders. Okay, and I will say John's widow, Lillian, is here today, and she just turned 91? 91, and she's here today. And I must add, it's been a great honor to work with the Saunders family in researching their accomplishments and presenting them today.
This is a great honor for me. Bill, you did your homework. You did your research. But like I said, the whole Saunders family has got to be really proud. And I wish those two guys were here. I mean, they'd be like 95 and 96 years old. And I remember when Uncle John would come to our house a lot in Glendale, I used to listen. You didn't hear a word I said. But anyhow, I was a kid that sat on the floor listening to them talk about old times. It was like listening to that radio show called The Whistler and Suspense, which is still on. And not only they talked about, of course, there's track sports, but they talked just hearing them talk about how things were in the 30s was just like listening to a mystery. But yeah, I want to thank Bill and the committee who selected them. And I'm proud to be here. I know the whole Saunders family is really proud. So I will